Hi, I'm Gerard Saylor from the LD Fargo Public Library in beautiful downtown Lake Mills, Wisconsin. And right now I'm at the Muskego Public Library in Muskego, Wisconsin for the Murder and Mayhem Conference. They have it every year. This is the third year. And among the many great authors here is Anthony Neal Smith. Mr. Smith, you've done... Mr. Smith.
It's Dr. Smith.
Dr. Smith. Do you have a doctorate?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't know that.
Just a doctorate in English creative writing, and I teach at Southwest Minnesota State University, Director of Creative Writing.
Marshall, Minnesota.
Yep, in Marshall.
Which, coincidentally, is the setting of your most recent book.
Yep. The bitter, cold, frozen plains of Marshall, Minnesota.
Frozen tundra. It's pretty flat there.
It's pretty much Iowa. It's corn, bean fields, and ice.
Tell us about your book.
The latest book is Yellow Medicine, which is set in the southwest region of Minnesota, where I'm living right now. And being sort of an exile, I moved there right before Hurricane Katrina. I'm originally from the Gulf Coast, and I lived in Michigan for a few years, but had gone home, seen my parents, and then moved back, to Minnesota for this new job.
Right.
And then Katrina comes and washes everything away, and I can't get home for a long time.
Right.
So, in creating this character, after sort of getting used to the personalities of Minnesotans, which was different than what I was used to, a little colder, a little more reserved, a little hidden, sort of.
Very Lutheran.
Yeah, very Lutheran. A little, they're not telling you what's on their mind completely. Kind of quixotic. No, quixotic's the wrong word. I don't know why I just said that.
Well, it's reserved there. It's the joke is I went to school in Minnesota.
Yeah.
The joke was you have to ask somebody 3 times if they want something, because they always refuse the first 2. No, thank you. No. Well, okay.
Yeah. I think I've actually had it happen before, where I said, "Hey, you want this candy?" And someone said no, and then I ate it, and they said, "What are you doing?"
Because you weren't.
I wasn't
kind of the fish out of water.
Yeah, and so I felt that way. So I wrote a book about a guy who also from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, except he's a bad cop.
Yeah.
Crappy, just a nasty, selfish cop doing what he can to get by.
Yeah, he takes advantage of high school girls.
Yeah. Once he gets up to Minnesota, he takes advantage of high school girls on prom night, and kind of arrests the boyfriends for being drunk, and then puts them in the back of the squad car.
And then coerces the girls into relationships. He is a bad egg, but he's still the hero.
He's a hero in a sense. I wanted to write about an unsympathetic character because I'm interested in characters that are not total heroes. I wanted you to be able to empathize with them. So it's the worst possible person telling you his story, you can still sit there and care about what happens next.
Yeah, because he's freshly divorced after some shenanigans he did post-Katrina. But he still has a kind of a relationship, a tenuous relationship with his ex-wife, but he still loves her, and he still loves his children.
Yeah.
And they're way down there. He's up in Minnesota by himself, and he still has to get in, go to work, and have that paycheck to send it back down.
Yeah, he has to. It's also a sense of duty or obligation. I think the one thing about love for the ex-wife and love for the children is also one of those questions of just like instinct, tribal instinct, in a sense that does he express the love? Do we see it? Does he see his kids? Does he really work to do that? No, but he feels the obligation. He feels wronged.
In that mystery genre, the protagonist always, from Hammond and Chandler on down, that they have their own code, and so that's kind of what he has. Do you feel that you have to kind of write inside the genre to fit things that way?
Oh no, I just write what I want, and I love crime genre, I love the noir genre, but at the same time I'm interested in character, I'm interested in just what I would expect this person to do as if he were real flesh and blood, rather than think about the genre expectations, because if anything, I want to subvert or pervert the genre expectations when it comes to this, because we've seen what can be done in that form, so I'm saying, well, what can we do if you had this guy? So in his case, I think Publishers Weekly said something about, whereas Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer had a bad enough code. He had this code that was this horribly questionable, personal code, And they thought that Lafitte even surpassed that because it's so intensely personal that the idea of morality really depends on what Billy says it is, you know.
And that could change from time to time.
It can change depending on what's best for Billy. And that's what I think is interesting about him because, you know, yes, he fiercely, like I said, I kind of go back to animal instinct in a sense. He fiercely wants to protect that which he says is his. Kind of like Vic Mackey in The Shield in a sense, where he's got these 2 children and his ex-wife, and he knows, you know, that's my standard. I have to uphold this always, even if, you know.
He prioritizes himself and the family over the rule of law.
Oh, yeah. It's like I can still be good no matter what law says. You know, I can still be good to myself, and therefore, if I live with it, it's okay.
Yeah. So. Well, the last panel that was talking about setting, and one of the things that came up was accuracy. I mean, you live in Marshall. Are there little things about novels that you want to make sure you get right? Like, for instance, your character travels to Ann Arbor. I mean, did you visit Ann Arbor? Were you familiar with the area? Did you just kind of do a generic kind of, do you know what I mean?
Oh, I know. I've been to Ann Arbor once or twice. I've been to Detroit, just through Detroit once or twice. Yeah. But I lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan for 3 years. And so for the feel, I just said something about Ann Arbor felt right for a place where wannabe homegrown terrorists set up shop in sort of a typical American suburb. Right. And it just felt like, for some reason, that felt like the place. Also because there's such a, you know, great Arab American population in Michigan.
You'd hear a lot about that after 9/11.
Yeah.
That Islamic center of the U.S. is like in Detroit and Ann Arbor.
Yeah, and so I wasn't saying, you know, anything about like it wasn't that all these people are like that. Obviously not. These are, you know, a lot of great, good people. Yeah. But of course, if there's going to be a bad egg, that might be a place where they would be centered.
And you've got you're working on, I'll cut this off before I run out of time, but you're working on a novel now. Is it finished? Are you editing?
I turned in a novel earlier this year. Mm-hmm. It's called Hog Doggin', and it is not a direct sequel to, well, I guess it is a direct sequel to Yellow Medicine, but it's not a series. It's a different voice. It sort of expands the story. Okay. It takes it, instead of being, you know, first person Billy, now you get to see Billy along with a lot of other characters and get in their heads, and it becomes this, you know, revenge chase novel, sort of.
Shoot 'em up.
I don't think there's as much shooting. I mean, there's some shooting, but I think the violence here is much more cruel and quiet. Even though there are some shit shots, there are also like a lot of broken noses and.
Yeah. Well, okay. One more question again. That brings up something else. I mean, what's the most difficult to write? Like a relationship between two guys, or a guy and girl, or an action scene, or like a narration? What do you have the most trouble with, or that you find yourself redoing?
I always think I overdo narration the first few drafts. I think that I often tell my students, you know, that you shouldn't explain too much in fiction or try to explain away things. You should show. Right. And when you're doing narration, you're doing longer novels, there are times you need to explain. So the idea is, how do I get this across to the audience without talking down to them or underestimating them? I just want to show it and explain it so you get the gist, you get everything you need to know quickly. So that might be the most problem, because action seems to go with a rhythm. You find the rhythm and it just kind of goes. Yeah. Relationships kind of built on, you know, the more you observe people and the more you think about why people do the things they do to each other, it becomes more natural to write it. But it's that narration, you know, making sure that the story is told the best possible way through the best possible voice.
Neat. Thank you. This is What to Read. I'm Gerard Saylor from the LD Fargo Public Library. Hopefully I'm still on the screen. And Anthony Emile Smith, we have his books at the library.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes, there you go.